Hey neighbor. Hey, if we haven't met yet, I'm Jason, and today we're exploring Jesus' genius command to love our neighbor as ourselves during this pandemic season. Now I want to ask you a question. Have you ever considered that there might be a bigger reason and purpose for why you live in the neighborhood that you do with the people that live around you? In a speech that Paul gave in Acts to the people of Athens, he said this: "And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined their appointed times and the boundaries of their habitation, that they would seek God, if perhaps they might feel their way toward him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us." According to Paul, God has determined all of this. He's placed you in your neighborhood in this time in history with your neighbors so that they could see God in you and see that God is not far from them. And so, how could we show people God? How is that possible? By serving them. That's how they can see that God is not far from them. One of my favorite sayings is this: anyone can imitate God because anyone can serve. Can you believe that? As we're serving God right in front of our neighbors, He shows up, He shows them He's not far from them, but He's actually really near and close by to them. And so that's our purpose and why God has placed us in our neighborhoods, in this time, in this place, with the people that we live by, so that they can see God in us as we serve them. Man, is anybody else excited to neighbor somebody? I cannot be the only one right now. Okay, so let's get practical now about how we can live out Jesus' command to love our neighbors right where He has placed us during COVID-19. First of all, take some social distance walks. Go out and find a neighbor that would like to walk with you and go on a walk about 6 feet apart. And then, it might feel a little bit awkward at first, but it's a great way to build a relationship, and you'll get used to it over time, and you'll get some exercise too, so that's awesome. Secondly, could you think about praying for your neighbors by name? Now, it's an awesome and effective tool that we have that we could pray for our actual neighbors on a regular basis. But what if you even know some of your neighbors? Could you give them a call? Could you write them an email, or even attach a card to their door that lets them know you're going to be praying for them by name at a certain time? And if they have any prayer requests, that they could connect with you and share those requests with you so that you could pray for those specific things at that specific time. And just by doing this, I think this is a cool way that we can allow people to know that we follow Jesus. It's okay and good for people in our neighborhood to know that, so that maybe even one day we could be looked on as being chaplains for our neighborhood and being people that could serve our neighbors and that they could look to for care when they're in a time of hurt, and then we could show them who Jesus is by serving them. A third thing that we could do is to write an encouraging note to a neighbor. I think that right now handwritten notes are something that is just few and far between, and I think it makes them even more powerful. So could you just take a few moments and drop a note in the mail saying to a neighbor, "Yeah, I care about you, I'm thinking about you, you are important." I think that would make a huge difference to a neighbor. And finally, for those of us that are maybe a little bit more tech savvy, could we offer to help a neighbor out with some technology that could help them to stay connected with friends or family? Just by simply bringing down that barrier for somebody, we can really make a positive impact on their well-being and their emotional health. So those are just a few ideas that we could consider putting into practice this week. And if you haven't caught any of the other videos on neighboring, we have a couple other videos. You can check those out at Harvest Vineyard's YouTube page. And so why don't you go ahead and watch those today? They've got lots of other great tips on how we can love and serve our neighbors during the season. Now, I want to leave you with this thought today. What we do in our front yards It counts. It matters. It's real ministry. Just as real as serving on the board or in the children's ministry or handing out food bags at the church. And so I want to thank you for putting Jesus' genius command into action and actually loving the actual people that God has placed each of us near in this time and season. Let's go love those neighbors.